But the first panelist will be Venerable Miao, who is currently in Philippines Kwame College as the Director of Life Education Programs and Services. She will give us her perspective on Chapter 1 overview.
Hello everyone, good morning. Very happy to be here. And with a wonderful opening remarks by Venerable Hui Feng and Venerable Miao, I think everybody here must be very eager to dig into this book. And I will start with the overview. I have never seen a book have given such a detailed overview. And so as we started the panel, right before the panel, I noticed we were still gathering books. So I can see that many of us have not had the chance to read the book. That's no problem, because through overview, you will get a very good understanding of the content of the book and how Venerable Master Hsing will guide us in learning more about humanistic Buddhism. So before I start with the overview, I still like to start with the two commonly asked questions. I think we all know that Buddhism is one of the oldest Buddhism religion in the world, and with a number of populations. And I think we all know about the current status of the population of the Buddhist population in the world, right? So you can see that even though we are considered one of the oldest religion in the world, however, our population in this world it's not there. Okay, so if you look at this pie chart, okay, we only actually acquire about 5-6%. So I think we will often ask this question, why? But this doesn't help just asking why. We really have to know how. So thanks to Venerable Master Hsing telling us again and again through all of his 80 years and 60 years of propagation of Dharma that he's actually having this book for us. So let's take a look at the overview. And Venerable Master Hsing has actually designed this book into 6 chapters. And through taking a look through the overview, there are 6 points. Number 1, okay, there's the chapter, actually considered chapter 2. Humanistic Buddhism holding true to the original intent of the Buddha. This is considered the core, okay? Well, we'll go into a little bit of details. And then number 2, the 5 precepts and 10 wholesome deeds as the basics of a human being. And number 3, 3 acts of goodness and 4 givens as fundamental concepts of humanistic Buddhism. And number 4, the lifestyle and ways of cultivation in humanistic Buddhism. Number 5, aspiring for the Bodhi mind and Bodhisattva path. Number 6, to take a look at the future and development of humanistic Buddhism. So if we put all these 6 topics in one line, that it's very easily to understand Venerable Master Hsing by giving us the core definition of the humanistic. Why is it so important going back to humanistic Buddhism? Buddhism is Buddhism. Why humanistic Buddhism? Earlier, Venerable Miao and Venerable Hui Feng already gave the wonderful opening remark and definitions. And after that, it's telling us what should we do after we reminded us that going back to the true original intent of the Buddha, then what's the next? Then we have to really put into practice the 5 precepts, 10 wholesome deeds. Okay, because maintain to be a human being, that's the basics. Buddha was born in this world, practiced in the world, and enlightened in this world. So therefore, being a human being is the fundamentals. And based on that, then if we take a look at the 3 acts of goodness. 3 acts of goodness, these Venerable Master Hsing tell us, 3 acts of goodness and the 4 givens as the fundamental concepts. Okay, earlier we said, okay, I said that 5 practice doing the 5 precepts, but how do we keep them or remind ourselves we could do that every day? But if we have the concept of the whole doing the practice the 3 acts of goodness, practice the 4 givens it's become naturally. You don't really have to say, oh, I gotta uphold the precepts. And then furthermore, okay, after we have that concept in mind, we go into then we have to always make sure that everybody can practice humanist Buddhism as a way of life. Okay, knowing all those definitions doesn't help us if we cannot really implement that, practice that in our daily life. And after that, with all those such things as the basics, then we have to explain our mind to practice what is so-called aspiring for the Bodhi mind and the Bodhisattva path. And then with that all in mind, we have such equipped, and therefore then we can look into the future. So if we take a look at the very first one, the humanist Buddhism holding true the original intent of the Buddha. Actually, take a look at this one. We have to rethink. I think everything started when the Buddha decided to abandon his position as a prince from the palace, away from the palace, away from the luxurious life, and then going back to the basics. Why? Because he noticed the sufferings. But many of us discover or notice the suffering in life, we did not do much about it. We simply say, oh, this is part of life. But the Buddha actually took off and started his journey to answer for the truth. So the number one, to holding true, to understand how to holding true to the original intent of the Buddha, that we must understand that the backgrounds. So Buddha renounced with the way, or I should say that with the intent to answer all the sufferings in life, and to overcome the caste system, and to let us actually to realize equality of all beings. Okay. So one basic, very important message that we have to know that the Buddhism had been taught by the Buddha to the human world for the purpose of helping people to resolve their difficulty in life. That's the sole purpose. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how much we talk about how good Buddhism is. Remember what Venerable JP mentioned yesterday. I really want to know more, the devotees say, I really want to know more about Buddhism, but how can I use it? How can I, so basically, we want Buddhism should be something that we can use in our life and make our happier life. Okay, so in this chapter, Venerable Master Xing also telling us, explained it, why it is so important to going back. Okay, so as Buddhism spread to China, due to this political and also the social changes. Okay, I'll have to hurry up.
Yeah, you have 2 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay, already. And so therefore it's causing the Buddhism to become the religion that focus on the spiritual cultivation and circulation for the sole benefits of others. So that in Buddhism, the actual value or the core value of the Buddhism, since people lost focus. So therefore that it is the hope that through the advocating humanistic Buddhism, we are able to grasp the true meaning of the Buddha's core teachings and the spirit of liberation for this world. So in this chapter, we have to bear in mind that, remember that everything Buddha had taught in humanist Buddhism and everything about humanist Buddhism is Buddhism itself. So going on to the chapter 2 is the 5 precepts and 10 wholesome deeds. Master Taishi mentioned that, okay, if the Buddhahood is attained, the instant of human character perfect. Okay, so with that in mind, that Venerable Master Xing had reminded that to practice the 5 precepts and the 10 wholesome deeds are the fundamental stone of a happy family. Okay, so even though, but however, through the development of of the Buddhism, that differences in the disciplines, attitudes have led to different levels of understanding and realization of the Buddha's teachings. And in this chapter, Venerable Master Xing tells us that with the development of Buddhism, such as we can say the early Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, Southern Buddhism, as the Buddhism developed through geographical ways, that with all that in mind, that even though now we have Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan, and so on and so forth, that the basic practices, okay, to maintain a human being we have to come back to the basics. And through the chapter 3, the 3 acts of goodness, okay, 3 acts of goodness and forgiveness is fundamental. As I have said, okay, understanding of the precept is important, but how can we have the more fundamental or a basic way to keep us always in mind? Venerable Master Jin tells us that Buddha was born in the human world, cultivated and attained enlightenment in the human world, and taught everything to the humans. So therefore, maintain to be a human is so important, but however, by doing so, that if we have the concept, always practice the goodness and forgiveness as the basics, then therefore that a lot of things such as in Buddhism, a lot of people talking about, concerned about afterlife or talking about karma and retributions. But those things will become irrelevant if we can really practice at the concept of the 3 acts of goodness and forgiveness, because we are always doing the good things. So if we go on to the next one is the lifestyles. This has go back to the daily practices. And in this chapter, Venerable Master Shi using the very famous classic story from the Diamond Sutra, how Buddha was practiced then. So by the opening the first chapter of the Diamond Sutra with the time constraints, and now I assume that everybody knows about the Diamond Sutra. So therefore, what would you say? So what it says that what this opening of the text reveals are the ways of practice, compassion and wisdom. Okay? So all of these retained by an awakened one who abides within the daily routines of life for the result of the enlightenment in both oneself and others, okay? As well as developing both oneself and others. So would be the key message. Come to chapter 5, aspiring for the Bodhi mind and Bodhisattva path. Buddhism should not be like buying insurance. We should not just say that Buddhism, okay, now I'm a Buddhist, so all the good things still have to come to me. I have acquired so many merits, but we really have to put that into our practice ourselves. We know the basics, we know the fundamentals, but now we have to expand ourselves to practice the Buddha way. By doing so is practice according to, or take the Bodhisattva as our role models. So one of the examples that Venerable Master is telling us, understanding the Four Noble Truths is not good enough. But however, how to expand the understanding of Four Noble Truths through practicing the Four Universal Vows. That's the way to do it. So that would be the idea. So specifically, humanistic Buddhism must show the characteristics of altruism and universality. So therefore means like without the Bodhi mind, one is nothing but a barren seed. So the most significant undertaking for the Buddhist is to practice the Buddhist way. So that's the key message from chapter 5. And finally, we come to chapter 6. We take a look at the future and development of the humanist Buddhism. Actually, we still, for Fo-Guang-San, Venerable Master Shi has already set our objective for Fo-Guang-San, and that will never change, that will continue to, but we just have to strengthen the content of it. And with that, the 4 objectives in mind, that I think we must assert the humanistic Buddhism to be Buddha's original intent in favoring the hope the Buddhists can come together on behalf of the shared faith, mutual growth, and coexistence with the Buddha. So that with that, all those things in conclusion in mind, that many Buddhas of compassion and wisdom shed light onto the universe and illuminates this world with the brightness and hope. For this, we hold true to the meaning and purpose of this book, holding true to the original intent of the Buddha. And hopefully that will give us an insight, and then you can continue to go on, listen to more detail from the other chapters.
Thank you very much, Miao. Fantastic job in providing a nutshell of the book. Okay, so and for the rest of you guys, if you really don't have time to read the book, you can just read this chapter and it will tell you what the whole book is about.